Nigeria to host 2018 African Export-Import Bank annual meetings, just as the United Kingdom to now accept Naira payments from Nigerian business owners who make procurement in the United Kingdom. U.S. President Donald Trump to sign spending bill into law this Friday, ending a temporary federal government shutdown. And back home, federal government concludes arrangements to establish Nigerian Mining Commission to take charge of regulatory role of the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. Plus, Nigeria now world's largest producer of cassava. Details of these and more coming your way live on Business Express on NTA. I am Amina Nigerian. In the news today, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, says regular payment of taxes by Nigerians is fundamental to growth and development of the country. The minister, who stated this at a sensitization program on the Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme in Enugu, pointed out that predictable tax revenue inflow would lead to more investment by the federal and state governments in infrastructure, jobs, as well as wealth creation across the country. The minister said Nigeria has a poor scorecard in tax payment, as only 14 million pay tax out of about 70 million economically active people. And some cheery news, as Nigeria has emerged as host country for 2018 African Export-Import Bank annual meeting and 25th anniversary celebration. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, while conveying the country's readiness to host the event in a recent letter to the bank, stated that government and people of Nigeria are highly honored for being considered to host the meeting and anniversary. The federal government has concluded arrangements to establish the Nigerian Mining Commission to take charge of the regulatory role of the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. The Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, who said this in Cape Town, South Africa, noted the law setting up the commission is already with the National Assembly. The minister also said government is determined to strengthen regulation in the sector as well as ensure the improvement of its geographical data. And now oil prices fell back suddenly after the last few trading sessions dragged down by some forces beyond the oil market. The steady decline of the US dollar has helped drive up crude prices up, but that came in an abrupt halt last week. A rebound for the greenback led to a steep decline in oil prices on Friday. At the same time, sudden turmoil in broader financial systems also bled into the oil market. Volatility in the stock market flared up on Friday, sparking the sharpest single-day upheaval in years. The chairman of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, Lord Mayland, says Britain must embrace free trade with Nigeria after Brexit, as its rapidly growing population loves British products and wants to buy everything from UK exporters. Lord Mayland, who said it was time for UK to set up a post-Brexit trade zone with Nigeria, Singapore and Malaysia, offering major opportunities noted the UK does not want to be seen to be initiating anything, but people look to UK for leadership. There are one or two really encouraging optimistic places on the horizon. And the British government, through its export credit agency UK Export Finance, says it will now accept naira payments from Nigerian business owners who make procurement in the United Kingdom. The UK Department of International Trade made this known in a statement, said the local currency financing structure follows the same format as conventional buyer credit in sterling or any other currency. The department added that Nigerian business buying British goods or services and taking out a loan in naira from a bank in Nigeria can benefit from the UK government. Paul Oakright, British High Commissioner to Nigeria, said the arrangement shows the kind of value UK places on its relationship with Nigeria. President of the Africa Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says the bank in 2017 achieved its highest annual disbursement of $7.67 billion in support. Adesina said this in Abuja, reiterated the bank's continued support for Africa countries in ensuring stronger macroeconomic policies. The bank's stable outlook rating, added, is underpinned by sound financial and risk management policies, excellent liquidity, and strong shareholder support. The Debt Management Office DMO has said the approved external borrowing of another $2.5 billion through Eurobond to refinance the domestic debt will not increase the nation's debt stock. The DMO made the statement to allay fears in some quarters that external borrowing would further pile up the existing debt profile of the country. The DMO also noted it is prepared to take the necessary steps to help the federal government raise the $2.5 billion for the Eurobond external borrowing to refinance her domestic debts. The European Union on Thursday insisted that Nigeria must implement appropriate risk management measures and provide required guarantees before it could export dried beans to Europe. Head of Trade and Economic Section EU delegation Mr. Philip Amato said Nigeria must meet specified conditions before the ban will be lifted, but added that EU is supporting the country in the process that would ensure that the lifting of the ban. He further pointed out that EU welcomes the efforts of the federal government in ensuring quality and safety of agricultural produce. And while there is a ban on Nigerian export of beans, Nigeria is still the world's largest producer of cassava. Details of this with Vivian Indepefo.
Position as the world's largest producer of cassava has not necessarily affected the price of its most popular finished product, garri, contrary to speculation that the retail price of garri has dropped by 56% to 7,000 naira from 16,000 naira for a 50 kg bag.
Okay, we have heard that garri has reduced to 7,000. How true is that?
Not to my knowledge, because I went to market today to buy.
So the garri is for now is how much a bag?
12,000
for the white and yellow.
Yes.
But I'm still patronized because I can't live without garri.
Nigeria has an annual output of 57 metric tons.
Let's now take a look at how some commodities in the local markets are trading with Bosse as our guide.
Prices of domestic commodities such as rice, sugar and beans remained stable during the week. Sorghum and other grains prices remained stable across the country compared to previous week. Unfavorable weather dampens U.S. production of wheat. It features up 0.67% to $4.49. Excess rainfall in Argentina has led to expectation of lower output of corn. The commodity features up 0.28%. Cocoa prices climbed 0.39%, while sugar declined 0.36%.
To discuss the issues of commodity exchange is Chris Ekechukwu, General Manager, Nigerian Commodity Exchange. Glad to have you join us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Right. What's new in the commodity exchange markets?
So much is happening in the exchange at the moment. We are configured to help buyers and sellers of commodities, meaning both agricultural, solid minerals, and what have you. We link buyers and sellers of those commodities. We are getting very, very ready to take off because we've established some infrastructure that has been lacking for quite some time now. Like for agricultural commodities, we're able to establish 5 warehouses in strategic locations, and we hope by the coming agricultural season, which is July, September, we should be able to roll out.
All right, talking about the visibility of the market, there has been some complaints that it's not really been that visible. So what is the commodity exchange doing to make it more visible?
Well, we are trying the much we can within the available resources. That might sound like a cliche, but in this instance, it is very, very true. The exchange concept, you will agree with me, is absolutely new. And so if you want to introduce something into a new thing, I should say, into a country, an economy, it should enjoy adequate publicity. Let's look at FIRS today as an example. You know, they are doing very massive publicity, and the minister has said that it is resulting in increased accruals by the FIRS. Going back down memory lane, we know the publicity NAFDAC enjoyed under the late Professor Dora Akinyele. NAFDAC enjoyed massive funding to do massive publicity, and so the nation was very well sensitized. So if this exchange is given that level of, I should even say, interventionist funding, we will reach the nooks and crannies of this country and then impact positively on the economy of the nation.
Talking about impacting positively on the economy, which key players are you targeting?
Primarily the rural farmer, who, you will agree, has not been enjoying a good deal as far as their labor is concerned. If the exchange is properly, if they are properly sensitized about the exchange, they will know that it is good for them to aggregate their commodities, bring it onto the floor of the exchange, and then get it sold to consumers in the most efficient and market forces-driven manner, which will result in more revenue for them.
Okay, let's now look at the commodities the exchange is trading in. Are there any new products that you're adding that you previously were not trading in?
The issue is that we are trying to perfect our infrastructure to trade the commodities that we have on the table now.
What are those commodities?
Maize, sorghum, which is more commonly known as guinea corn, sesame, soya beans, and cowpea. Those are the commodities that we're dealing at the moment.
Okay, talking about the list you've already mentioned, cassava is doing very well, and we have an output of 57.13 tons that Nigeria produces. Is the commodity exchange thinking of looking into cassava, because exporters are looking for it a lot?
Yes, even though it is derivative commodities of cassava that is being requested for in the form of chips, flour, and so on. But the truth of the matter is that the exchange is not configured at the moment to handle perishable commodities. Okay. So until our infrastructure is enhanced to handle such commodities in the form of specialized warehouses. You see, cassava if you don't process it within 24 hours of bringing it out of the ground, it loses a lot of its useful nutrients. The same thing for tomatoes and so on and so forth. So we need specialized warehousing as well as other infrastructure support to be able to handle trading in the derivatives of cassava.
All right, countries like Ethiopia have a very active commodity board where they control prices, like coffee, for instance. Now, looking at Nigeria, ensuring stability of prices, what can we take away from that across the board and across the region?
One word, government support.
Okay.
Those are two words, government support. Ethiopia was 100% supported by their government in the form of funding, in the form of legislation, in the form of infrastructure that was requisite in establishing such an entity. But thank God for the present administration, we've never been able to enjoy the support that we needed from government from the beginning. As you might know, we became a commodity exchange in 2001. We were born as a stock exchange in 1999. But until this present administration, I must confess, we've not had the support that we needed. So we've not been able to have, in fact, as we speak, there's a lot of legislation gap that we need in order to reach where the Ethiopia Commodity Exchange has reached. They had full government support by way of funding, by way of legislation, and as well as requisite infrastructure support.
Is there a place for the private sector?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Our architecture, operational architecture is that it's just exactly like the stock exchange. Trading is handled on the exchange by brokers, and brokers represent private investors, private customers, you know, merchants, farmers, consumers, food manufacturers, exporters, and what have you. So it is exactly configured for the interests of the private sector.
Okay, to what extent do you see controlling stability of commodity prices would affect the region? If we have a strong commodity market like Ethiopia has with coffee, how would it affect the sub-region?
West Africa?
Yes.
You know, as we speak, Nigeria is the powerhouse of the sub-region. So if we get commodity exchange operations right in the country, it will have a salutary effect on commodity trading across the sub-region. And I must add, even outside of this country.
Now, that brings me to ECOWAS.
I mean, outside of the region, yeah.
ECOWAS is working on eliminating barriers of trade within the sub-region. How does that key into the mission of the commodity exchange?
Oh, as we have configured to trade, period. There are no boundaries, there are no borders to our trading operations. As we speak, I mentioned sesame seed. Sesame seed is primarily an export commodity. Then the other commodities are, of course, more domestic. But you know, maize and sorghum and cowpea, they are from Nigeria. They are traded to as far away as Sudan and so on. So we very much are capable of handling cross-border trading.
To our viewer who is watching right now and you want to publicize the commodity exchange, how can they come in?
Publicizing the commodity exchange.
Being involved in your activities, carrying the Nigerian along, how can they participate in the commodity exchange?
Oh, as I mentioned to you just now, we are established exactly to provide them the benefit of more efficient trading operations. So any farmer, or I should say a group of farmers, because it is economies of scale will kick in when you are approaching the floors of the commodity exchange. So if farmers can come together, aggregate themselves into commodity associations or cooperatives, they can bring their commodities onto the exchange for sale. On the other side, the buyers now, instead of deploying resources to go to 6 different markets to aggregate their input needs, they can simply place their order on the exchange through their broker, and then their orders will be filled in a very efficient and market-driven manner.
Mr. Chris Ekechukwu, thanks for talking to us. Chris Ekechukwu is the General Manager, Nigerian Commodity Exchange. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, moving on. Profit-taking has started in the Nigerian stock market after initial rallies that characterized the beginning of the year. This report is hereby presented by Musa Abubakar.
The equity market fell 0.77% to close 43,538.16 basis points on Wednesday. Market capitalization was 15.6 trillion naira. The market continued the downward trend on Thursday after 2.2 billion shares valued at 7.4 billion naira were traded in 5,468 deals. The market declined 0.49% to close 43,326.89 basis points and market capitalization 15.5 trillion naira. FO, Interbrew and Dangote Cement top gainers chart. Nassau, NB and Stanbic led the losers chart. Sterling Bank, Skybank and UBA had the most shares traded.
As markets around the globe settle for business, let's join Musa Abubakar again for an outlook.
Equity market closed mixed. South Africa JSE declined 0.49% at 49,934.79. Nairobi SE climbed 0.46% at 3,746.18. And Tundex gained 0.02%. Ghana JSE made 0.49% gain, while Namibia All-Share declined 0.29%. Asian indexes closed higher on Thursday after last session's rally stalled late in trading day. Japan's Nikkei climbed 1.13% to close 21,890.86, while Hang Seng Index and Shanghai Composite were unchanged. And the U.S. stocks fell sharply on Thursday as strong earnings and economic data were not enough to calm jitters on Wall Street. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed 1,032.89 points lower at 23,860.46. S&P declined 3.75% to close 2,581, while Nasdaq Composite fell 3.9% to close 6,777.16. European stocks closed lower Thursday. FTSE declined 1.49%. DAX 2.62% and CAC 1.98%.
Many thanks, Musa. Let's take a quick look on how the international currencies are faring. And that's it on Business Express today. Monday should be another date on NTA, same time. I am Amina Nujain.